All right, show me the money. NFL picks for Divisional Sunday are here. We have only 3 weekends left of NFL football, and join me today to make the picks. You heard of him back in Week 17. His Patriots are still alive. They are hosting the Texans on Sunday. Ian Sack's back with us. Ian, how are you?
Mike, thanks for having me back on. Well, when you asked about me potentially coming on in the playoffs, I said I wanted to make sure that I came on while the Patriots were still alive. Didn't look great for a lot of Sunday. Their offense struggled a lot, but their defense looked incredible. And hey, they're still alive and we're talking here, so it's a good day.
Yeah, I think I might have been the fan of you that was more doubtful that game. Like the way Justin Herbert was throwing the football, I had no doubt the Patriots getting through that game in one way or another.
Yeah, Herbert's really struggled in the playoffs this year and in years past also. So I guess you could say it was a good draw for the Pats, but no, nevertheless, they're still alive and hoping for another deep playoff run.
Yeah, so what was your big takeaways from that game on Sunday? Because obviously we had the four great games in a row to start the round. This one and the last one not as compelling from an entertaining perspective, but I do think there's a lot to glean from this game.
Well, I think that the biggest takeaways from those two blowouts that you said, the Patriots win and the Texans win, would be both of their defenses. They really showed up. Of course, the Texans getting those two defensive scores making that score much more lopsided. But for the Patriots to just hold the Texans to 3 points, that's a Texans team, or
You mean the
excuse me,
Chargers. Yep.
that's a Chargers team that I had several of them on my fantasy team this year. Several of the wide receivers I had on my fantasy team. So I know how potent they can be. And to limit them to just 3 points, that was really impressive by the Patriots defense that honestly showed some flashes this year, but was not the outstanding defense that you expect of when they had Bruschi and Vrabel playing. This defense has come along a fair amount this year, and that was probably their best performance of the year.
Yeah, I think the Chargers not having an offensive line finally caught up to them in this game here because like New England, like they had no answer for the Patriot pass rush, which is not something we've been saying about New England most of the year.
No, that's a great point. Herbert was under pressure almost the entire game, it felt like, and that's why he couldn't get out. You hear it all the time with quarterbacks. I mean, every single quarterback, this is the case for that when they're pressured, they're not as good as they are when they have a clean pocket. So, of course, Herbert's going to be the same. He's going to struggle when there's so much pressure put on him.
Yeah, absolutely here. And they have a interesting matchup here with the Texans Sunday afternoon, Didn't play in the regular season. Texans, CJ Stroud struggled with ball control, ball security on Monday night. He ends up doing enough to help the Texans win. Their defense carries them here. What are you watching in this game?
I think it's going to be whether both defenses can carry. We know that the Texans defense has proven itself basically all year. It's been one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Patriots have not found themselves in that discussion throughout much of the season, and now they're coming off their best defensive performance. So it's going to be which defense can have the best day. I think this one's going to be somewhat low scoring, more low scoring than maybe a lot of the wild card weekend games. And it's really going to be which offense can break through against the defense.
Yeah, and that Texan defense, boy, on Monday night, they looked terrifying.
That they did. I mean, pretty much single-handedly, if Aaron Rodgers does actually call quit, retiring Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. With his last throw of his career being a pick six.
Yeah, when he threw that and it was returned for the touchdown, it sent me flashbacks of Tom Brady's last throw as a New England Patriot was a pick six in Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah.
So it almost felt somewhat poetic to me of if that's our Aaron Rodgers' last throw, kind of going out. Now, of course, Brady then goes to Tampa Bay, but going out in a similar fashion that Tom Brady did.
Yeah, and I will say, as a Jet fan, like I took immense satisfaction from that game last night. Just like after hearing all year Aaron Rodgers whining about like, oh, the Jets mistreated me, like they shouldn't have cut me, like I did so much for them. Like considering they gave him everything he wanted for 2 years, it didn't work. Like seeing him just go down in flames is very satisfying on a personal level.
I think that a lot of people were satisfied with how that all ended for Aaron Rodgers. I think a lot of Jets fans, obviously a lot of fans of teams in the NFC North and really the whole NFC because he terrorized them for so many years. And I just think that a lot of people, just in general, a lot of NFL fans are not huge Aaron Rodgers fans. So I'm sure that many people took pleasure in how that ended.
Yeah, they did here. And we can go ahead and get to the picks, which is the reason why you're here. We picked all 6 games last week. Nick Frietta stopped by last week to do the picks, and we both had pretty good weeks last week. So, Nick, to start off here, he went 5-1 last week on his picks. So, I can go ahead and show you what he did on the big board here. So, Nick had the Panthers covering the 10.5, the Bears covering one. We picked the Bear game for the line flipped. They won that game outright. One with the Bills laying the 1.5. His one loss with the Eagles get like the laying the 4.5 there. The Patriots win. Texans win 5-1 for Nick last week.
Yikes, that's going to be really tough to follow up. Well, Mike, I'm glad you didn't have me on last week because I do a picks thing for my job as well, and we picked all 6 games, and I was right about 500. Had some wins, had some losses in there also. So, yeah, not 5-1 for sure. So hopefully this week I bounce back though.
Yeah, so on the year, Teen Challengers 24-36 overall, 5-1 in the playoffs. I also went 5-1 last week. Was Nick and I had a lot of family plays last week. So we were in lockstep on the Panthers. We were in lockstep on the Bills, the Patriots, and the Texans. I had the 49ers. He did not. I had the Packers. He did not. So if Green Bay doesn't choke that thing, I'm a perfect 6 for 6 last week.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah. The Packers should have won that game. Really bad loss for Green Bay, but there were so many good games, as you alluded to earlier. The first 4 games of the weekend were all incredible. The final 3 minutes, all of them had the game-winning score. So it was a lot of fun. I'm just hoping that divisional round and the rest of the playoffs can be just as exciting.
Yeah, so playoffs wise, I'm tied the Challengers 5-1 on the year 40-20, which is by far the best year I've ever had doing this.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, you're going to be tough to beat throughout the playoffs, Mike, for sure.
Yeah, the whole season I won. Now it's a matter of like if the playoffs is like this is a decision here.
Right, exactly. But it's all put up time now, right?
Yep. All right, so we're gonna go one game at a time here. We're gonna start doing our picks. We're gonna pick all 4 games. We're gonna start on Saturday afternoon, 4:30 CBS. Bills at the Broncos. Bills are favored by a 1.5 on the road against the number 1 seed in the AFC. Ian, what are you doing in this game?
Um, Not sure which to pick, but I had to come up with something, and I'm gonna go with Denver. I think that they have escaped so many times this season. It's gonna be a close game. We know that. I feel like all 4 of these games this weekend will be close, but just the way that Denver has looked and been able to, no deficit has been too big for them. We saw that in their Giants game this season, and they're going to find a way at home to pull out a win and advance. And everyone's thinking this is the year Josh Allen can finally get to the playoffs. There's no Mahomes, there's no
Well,
Ravens and Lamar in there. There's no Joe Burrow in there. This is the year for Josh Allen. And I think unfortunately it comes to an end in the divisional round.
yeah, I tipped my hat last week on the pod. I said I do have a Bills Super Bowl ticket. I put in week 15 about, and I look at the way the math was going here. I'm riding the Bills again, laying the 1.5 on the road here. Underrated fact here: the Denver defense has really slipped down the stretch of the season. They have not been the same since their bye week in week 11, and I think that's going to come back to roost here. And if you're going to tell these games a little higher scoring team, Bo Nix and Josh Allen, taking Josh Allen. So I'm going to lay the points.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, no argument there. It'll be a good one for sure.
All right, that's game one. Game two, Saturday night, uh, 8 o'clock on Fox. 49ers at the Seahawks. 49ers are 7.5 point underdogs in Seattle. These teams had a classic meeting in week 18. Seahawks won 13-3 to get home field. Ian, what are they doing here?
I don't think this one's going to be 13-3. I think we're going to see several more points in this game. And crazy to think about how if that Week 18 game goes differently, we're talking about this one being in Santa Clara as opposed to in Seattle. But give me the 49ers just with the amount of weapons that they have and the talent that they have on that roster. Christian McCaffrey looked almost unstoppable in the wild card win against the Eagles. I say he carries that momentum into not only covering getting inside the number, but I say the 49ers went outright.
So he is going money line too, not just taking the points.
Yeah, absolutely. Give me maybe about a field goal game, but I say the 49ers get it done on the road.
Yeah, I'm going a heads up again here. I'm laying the points to the Seahawks. The number is scary. That's over a touchdown, but I still think back to week 18 when 49ers were even healthier then. They lost George Kittle in this game, and now they're not going to have him going forward in the playoffs here. Seattle's defense is scary. I think Sam Darnold got over the can't win at a big spot like mojo he had going on here. Seattle, I think, has been the team I've trusted the most all season. And to tip the hand further, I have a Bills Seahawks ticket in the Super Bowl. So I don't love the number. I'll ride the Seahawks here.
Okay, yeah, it's a great point with Kittle. I am nervous about that, but I feel like we've seen the 49ers battle back from injury after injury after injury, and yet they still put up one of the best records in the NFC and one of the best records in the NFL. And here they are, divisional round with a chance to go to the NFC Championship.
Yep. Next up here, the Sunday afternoon 3 o'clock game, ESPN ABC. Texans at the Patriots. Patriots laying a field goal here. Ian, I'm assuming you're taking your guys.
I can't go against the Patriots. That Texans defense scares me a ton, but I also saw that the Patriots played one of their best defensive performances of the season last week, and I'm hoping that that carries over. Give me the Patriots.
Yeah, we'll go heads up again here. I'm taking the 3 points of the Texans here. This is a spot where like the Chargers offensive line is completely decimated. Houston, I love that they're the hottest team in the league. They've won 10 in a row entering this game here. That defense is next level scary. And we saw like the point where if CJ Stroud isn't throwing the ball over the yard, the Texans probably win that game by 45 points, not 30 points that they did on Monday night here. I trust that defense here. It's a big step up in competition defensively for Drake May in that regard. I'm sure he can handle it, but I will take the better defense here and get points while doing so.
Going to be really tough to go up against that Texans defense. But I also think that the Patriots are a class up from the Steelers. So it's going to be a tougher test for them than a 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers.
Yep. All right. Last game of the week here. Sunday night on NBC 6:30, the last game here. The Rams at the Bears. The Rams laying 3.5 points here. Ian, where are you going?
I have not trusted the Bears all season long, and obviously to my detriment because they've looked really good. They have had that same escape that the Broncos have had, and you look at where they are, the 1 seed and the 2 seed in their respective conferences. But the Rams are the most complete team in the NFL this season, and they're who I have my money on to come out of the NFC. Give me the Rams to advance.
Okay, so we'll go make a perfect 4 for 4 on heads up plays here. I'm going to take the home dog with the Bears getting 3.5 here. This team all year has not been afraid of being down against anybody. We saw that in the wild card round here. The Rams, I think they may have peaked a little early. I feel like they peaked like right before that Carolina game the first time around. They've been struggling a bit since then. I think the Bears are right in this football game, and I think the hook is massive here. So I'll take the points. The Bears, I think they can win outright. I would not be shocked if the Rams win a 3-point game, but I will take the hook.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. Every game that the Bears play this year is a close one, and they've been able to pull a lot of them out. I agree with you that this one's going to be close. I just think you can't bet against Sean McVay and the Rams, who have been there so many times over the last couple of years.
By the way, have you seen this Sean McVay stat that's online right now?
Which one?
That this is ironically the way the path worked out here. This is the 15th postseason game Sean McVay's played. This is the 15th different team the Rams have played in the playoffs, which is insane to think. Oh,
I did see that last night. That is insane. And that speaks to the parity of the NFL. We say it every year with, half of the playoff teams or switch out every year or so, whatever the percentage is that it's so high compared to say baseball and basketball and hockey. But insane that he's had so many different opponents in the playoffs. At some point, there's going to be a repeat, right? There has to be.
well,
They're going to run out of teams.
if they win this week, it's a repeat next week because they played both the 49ers and the Seahawks in the playoffs before.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
If they lose,
let's hope they get the win so then we can only hear that stat for one more week.
if they lose, there's a chance that they play the Giants and the Commanders next year. If that streak continues.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Let's say keeps going.
Yeah. All right. So to reset the picks of the week, Ian has gone with the Broncos as a home dog, getting a point and a half against the Bills. The 49ers on the road, getting 7.5 in Seattle. The Patriots laying the 3 at home against the Texans. And the Rams laying 3.5 in Chicago against the Ben Johnson legendary Chicago Bears. My picks are the complete opposite of Ian's here. So I have gone with the Bills laying the point and a half in Denver. The Seahawks laying 7.5 at home against the Niners. The Texans getting 3 in New England, and the Bears a 3.5 point home dog on Sunday night against the LA Rams. Those are your picks for divisional weekend here, and it's always sad that we're coming down to the end here. We have very few games left to watch.
Yeah, that is always how it feels. I think it especially hits when you get to the divisional round because you know that it's just the 8 teams remaining, 4 games. Then it gets cut in half next week, and then 3 weeks from now, we're talking about just 2 teams left, 1 game, and then we're done with NFL football until September. So it's rapidly approaching, and by the time we know it, we'll be talking NFL draft.
Yeah, I think I always feel like to me personally, I feel like the real NFL season ends on Championship Sunday because the Super Bowl is its own sort of spectacle, with the halftime show, with the parties, with the commercials, and all that stuff. I feel like the real football fan, I think, like real football season ends, and then there's sort of like this big like spectacle that everybody else comes in for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's a spectacle that has a football game around it that used to be just about the football game, and now it seems like it's about everything else. Oh, and they also play maybe the biggest football game of the year during it.
Yep, and we'll be doing our picks next week. Troy Moriello stopped by to do the picks for Championship Sunday here, so he will be on next week to pick the 2 championship games.
Awesome. That's sounds good. I'm looking forward to listening into him.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll get Troy early because once March Madness rolls around, Troy's like basically here every week.
That's yeah. I mean, March Madness to me, I'm sure Troy feels the same way. Best time of the year.
Yeah, always a lot of fun, especially like that first Thursday, like when you had the 4 games going off at noon. That's the best like day to not work.
Oh my goodness. I remember a couple years ago, I legitimately took off that weekend, that whole weekend, just so I could watch all the games. And I remember my boss asking me like, "Oh, like what are you doing this weekend? Anything fun?" I said, "Sitting on my couch and watching every single March Madness game." And he goes, "Okay, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Way better than being here."
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. If you want to follow you on social media, keep up with your sports coverage. How can I do that?
Yeah, 100%, Mike. It's at Ian R. Sacks, IANRSACKS. That's Twitter and Instagram. And follow me basically anywhere else too.